Let me ask you a question. You ever have a great idea and then you start doing the research, and the more and more you dive into it, and maybe you share it with your friends and your family, and the more and more you tell people, and the more and more you research it, the more doubt seeps in about your idea. But in the beginning, you thought it was the best idea ever. It was going to be a multi-million-dollar idea. Maybe you was going to start a business and you was going to share it with the world. But maybe a day or two later, after doing the research and after sharing with your friends and your family, you just start doubting. You just start doubting. And slowly but surely, you talk yourself out of it. Has this ever happened to you? Well, no fear, my friends. This happens to 95% of people. There is an old saying that whenever you pass by a funeral, there is where millions of ideas just lay at rest. It's because of the fact that you start an idea and you start doing the research and maybe even share it with people and they talk you out of it, which by the way, they have never done it and they ain't even thinking about doing it. But for some reason they tell you that you can't do it. Does that make any sense? This is my subject for today, procrastination. In the last video, which I'll put somewhere up here, we went over ways to diagnose, combat, and actually cure procrastination. But I want to do an updated version of this. In the last video, we recognized that there's two types of procrastination. The number one is fear. Now, the most fear comes from what people think and also the fear of failure. Now, we're going to wrap these two together because most of the time that's what you think. You say, if I start this thing, what would they think of me? And I'm going to fail. So 9 times out of 10, we don't even start it. For example, let's use fitness. You decide that you're going to start your fitness journey. So you buy all the gloves, the shorts, the socks, the shoes. You get your gym membership. You say that you're going to walk 10 miles a day and you're going to go to the gym 7 times a week, which is your first mistake, because how do you go from 0 to 1,000? 9.5 out of 10 people don't have a switch that just clicks on to where they're doing 10 miles of walking and going to the gym 7 days a week. So that's your first mistake. But I digress. Let's get back to it. So maybe you start and you say, hey, I'm going to go outside. You go outside with your gym clothes on, your workout clothes, your walking clothes, whatever you want to call them. You go outside and you lit up your garage and your neighbor's looking at you. And all of a sudden, all of that so-called courage that you have just went out the window. What's up with that? Because you fear of what your neighbor may say about you. And so, because you fear of what they might say about you, you politely let down the garage and go back in the house and sit down and eat a donut and some coffee. But see, my friends, that is the fear of what people think and the fear of failure all at once. The only way you fail the thing is by not doing the thing. When you get out there and you start walking, you're probably not going to walk 10 miles, but you are doing better than what you was doing, which is absolutely nothing. And that is the point. How do we cure this fear of what people think and the fear of failure? Well, you have to practice the subtle art of not giving a fuck. You have to do the thing that you fear. You have to get up and go for that walk. If you're afraid to go to the gym because you think everybody's watching you, which let me tell you something, party people in the place to be. Nobody's paying their gym membership to come watch you. They are there to improve themselves. Now, yes, you do have people that people watch, but I can promise you those people are few and far in between, and most people going in there and getting it in and getting out. Our problem is that we think that somebody's following us around with an invisible camera and watching everything we do, and then millions of people are watching us and laughing at us. But here's the great news about that. Nobody cares. Nobody's watching you like that. So now that you know this, you get up and you go do the thing. And if you consistently do the thing, guess what? You will start getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. Let me say that again. You will start being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Let me give you a great example of being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Maybe you go to a lake, maybe you go to a river or a swimming pool. When you first get into that water, your body has to jump to the Your body has to adapt to the temperature. So it may feel cold, it may feel too warm, whatever. Once you sit in that body of water for a certain amount of time, your body gets adjusted to it. And you know what's funny about that is when you are ready to get out of that water, guess what happens? You get out of the water, and now your body is uncomfortable to your regular environment. This is how you get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Is you go and you do the thing, and as sooner or later, your body, your mind will adapt to it, and then you will be comfortable in that environment, even though it's uncomfortable. And once you get out of that environment, you will start to learn and start to realize that you can't go back to that old environment, which is why some of us, we have personal growth and we start to go back to where we came from, and it's just not the same anymore. This, my friends, is how you diagnose, combat, and cure that fear of what people think and failure.